Good morning. Welcome to the Orange County Tourist Development Council meeting of March the 26th, 2021. I am going to make a couple of recognitions. I see Mr. Randy Singh from Visit Orlando here in the audience. It's a little different having Randy here in a different role, but welcome back to Orange County. We're glad to have you here today. At this time, I want to just remind everyone that we are now convening our Tourist Development Council meeting in person. Presentations for today's meeting will be provided remotely from the meeting room next door in room 105 adjacent to the chambers. Council members and audience, please silence your cell phones and similar devices. And also remember, council members, to press your button. There's a button there right near where you're seated to alert me that you would like to speak, and then I will call on the council members in the order in which I receive the indications. And at this time, I'm going to, Madam Clerk, we do have a quorum, so we will continue. At this time, I'm going to call on Ms. Jody Bainter to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and thank you.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome, Mayor McDonald.
Better late than never.
No problem.
I got a story. It's going to be fun.
He's right on time, actually, because before moving forward on our agenda today, I want to recognize Mayor McDonald for his service on the Tourist Development Council. And we have a couple of items to present to him. Today will be Mayor McDonald's last TDC meeting as his... Sound like we need to mute the mics in room 105. But today will be Mayor McDonald's last TDC meeting, as his term on this board will end on April the 30th. Mayor McDonald has served on the Tourist Development Council for over 5 years, and I want to thank him personally for his dedicated service on the board and to the community at large. Mayor McDonald, I would like to present you with a small token of our appreciation for your service and wish you the very best in your future endeavors. So, just a moment.
You did the mask, yeah.
Have to put our mask on. So, Mayor, let's go down front.
All right. Hey, guys. Oscar Murphy's wearing pants. Mr. Mayor, I want to say thank you to everybody on the board and the staff and the citizens of Orange County for providing the privilege for me. It's been a treat. Learned a lot, and just glad to be a part of it. The next mayor of Maitland will be taller, better looking, smarter, and might be able to serve you all just as well or better. But no, I was leaving my house about 45 minutes ago, and one of my neighbors walking their dogs, and I stopped to say hello, or they stopped to say hello, and one of the puppies, not really a puppy, decided that he wanted to take a bite out of me. So the next stop is the ER, so get my tetanus shot that I need. So, interesting dog bite story.
Well, that's an interesting start to your day.
Yeah, it was.
But we are glad you pressed your way forward and you got here.
Thank
in
you.
either case. All right. Again, thank you, Mayor McDonald, for your years of service, and we wish you well in your future endeavors. At this time, we'll move to our public comment. And Mr. Boyce, are there any members of the public present who wish to provide public comments at this time?
Yes, sir. We have Mr. Rob Humphreys. Mr. Humphreys, I'm sorry. No, not Rob. Stand by. All right. Mr. Robert Bruce, not Robert. Go ahead. Okay. Take your name and address for the record, and you're on 3 minutes.
Perfect. Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, both Mayor Demings and Mayor Dyer and the rest of the Tourist Development Council. My name is Robert Agrusa. I'm at 6675 Westwood Boulevard, Orlando, Florida, 32821. As I've worked with many of you over the years, I am the new president and CEO of the Central Florida Hotel and Lodging Association. It's a delight to be here today with each of you. I look forward to working with you and the rest of Orange County as we continue to bring back tourists and our visitors here to Central Florida. I really appreciate the partnership we've had over the years, and I look forward to the camaraderie moving forward. So just wanted to take a quick moment and thank you again for allowing us to be here today. And I know it feels a little weird because I'm not quite in the room there with y'all, but I do appreciate being in close proximity. So thank you all very much, and I look forward to working with you the rest of 2021 and beyond.
All right, Robert, thank you for your presence this morning, and congratulations on your new role here with the Hotel Lodging Association. Are there any other members of the public that wish to be heard at this time?
No, sir.
All right. If there are any public comments submitted via email for today's Tourist Development Council, they will be entered into the public record. At this time, we'll move on with our agenda, and we'll move to approval of the December the 4th, 2020 TDC meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mayor McDonald, second by Mayor Dyer. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The motion passes, and it is unanimous. And at this time, we'll move to an update on our economic outlook, and we are joined by Dr. Sean Snaith, the director of the Institute for Economic Competitiveness at the University of Central Florida. Dr. Snaith, I believe, has joined us virtually today, and Dr. Snaith, you're recognized at this time.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Good morning, mayors and council members. I think there's a mayor bites dog joke that I'll just leave on the low end of the tree there and not pick it. But I'm going to share my screen here at this point. And there we go. So, if I had spoken to the group a year ago today, and had predicted where we would be in 2021, I suspect there would have been a lot of skepticism because certainly, we have come a long way from where the economy was and where the tourism sector was in March of 2020. The recession that ended, I believe, in May or June of 2020, giving way to a fairly sharp recovery, very sharp in the third quarter last year. Growth in the fourth quarter was still strong at 4.3%. GDP growth, and I think the first quarter will likely be north of 6%. As the recovery continues, consumers are traveling again, they're spending again. We've got another very large stimulus package that's being implemented. So I think that the recovery will continue as we move through 2021. And I think the biggest driver of this recovery is really going to be centered around the dissipation of the pandemic's impact on the economy. And so that is I think coming from a variety of sources. One obviously is the distribution administration of vaccines, which are increasingly widespread and increasing in terms of coverage. That plus naturally acquired immunity, I think it's going to continue to drive these COVID numbers down in the right direction and get it to a point where I think it's no longer going to be a major factor as we get through the end of 2021. In terms of outlook for the U.S. economy, as I said, I think very strong recovery continues. I think for the full year, 5% plus growth is not unreasonable. I think that'll carry into 2022 as the economy finally gets out from under COVID-19 restrictions and the impact that the public health measures and fear as well played on that economic performance. And I think consumers are really going to continue to lead the charge here in terms of this recovery. There still is a fair amount of pent-up demand. Households, especially upper income households, are still not spending at the levels they were pre-pandemic. And, this is a segment of the economy that tends to spend more discretionary income on things like dining and travel. So that will directly feed into and fuel our tourism economy in the region. Just looking quarter over quarter here, as I said, I think pretty strong growth here in first and second quarter of 2021, and really for much of the year. And you can see that the bottom row there, it is consumer spending that will continue to fuel the economy's recovery from this pandemic recession. Looking statewide, again, I think Florida took a larger hit in some sense in terms of our tourism economy and how that was devastated by COVID-19. But in some ways, we also pursued policies that allowed the economy to bounce back more quickly than some states or even many countries around the world who kept in place very strict measures, public health measures that had much more detrimental impacts on those areas' economies. So Florida, I think, is bouncing back very strongly right now. I think we'll talk a little bit here about tourism in a second, but the recovery there, I think, will accelerate as we move through 2021. But I think it's going to be a couple of years before we can get back to where we were pre-pandemic. So quarter over quarter, looking at some of the data forecast for the Florida economy, I think the unemployment rate will continue to fall. I think payrolls will continue to grow. I think total payrolls will be back to pre-pandemic levels before the end of the year. But that's not necessarily going to be true for all sectors, and some sectors, in fact, will be well above their pre-pandemic levels by the time we get to the end of 2021. Here in the region, the metropolitan area, you can see this is metro GDP or gross metro product. You can see the dip there that we took in second quarter of 2020. We've recovered significantly since then. I think it won't be too long, maybe in a quarter or two, where the total output of the region is back to where we were pre-pandemic. The labor market, of course, was impacted in an unprecedented way by this unprecedented recession. A tremendous spike in the unemployment rate in a very short amount of time. And so you can see on this chart, compare and contrast the the 2008-2009 recession and how unemployment behaved during that, more traditional, if you will, type recession, versus this self-inflicted recession that we went through, where the lockdowns of certain businesses and sectors of the economy left no uncertainty at all in terms of the need for employees. And so, those people were very quickly out of work, and you can see that the unemployment rate spiked extremely high here in our region, well above what it did in 2008, 2009, and much more rapidly, to say the least. But it's coming down. I think it will continue to come down. I think the easy gains, if you will, in the labor market have already been had. And those gains were simply by, turning the lights back on and opening up these businesses again. Now, I think the hard part comes where some of the lasting damage in the slower recovering sectors will not recover with that kind of speed. So I think the progress from here is not going to be quite as easy. You can see payrolls in the region just plummeted from pre-pandemic levels. They continue to climb. We still have a fairly damaged labor market right now in the region, and just a really dramatic turn of events from February of 2020, when we had at the time one of the strongest labor markets in the country and certainly in the state. So our fortunes turned pretty quickly with COVID-19. But as I've said on many occasions, that COVID-19 is a temporary event, and I'm very skeptical of any sort of predictions of permanent impacts from such transitory events. I don't think COVID-19 fundamentally changed anything in our region in terms of the trends that were driving our economy and will continue to drive our economy in the future. This, of course, is the sector perhaps most relevant to the council, and that is the leisure and hospitality sector. And obviously, with passenger traffic in March and April down 97% year over year, the major theme parks being shut down for months, activity at the convention center grinding to a near standstill. It's not surprising that we saw such devastating job loss in the leisure and hospitality sector. But that recovery is underway. I think we'll see it accelerate as we move through 2021. I think that the vaccines were a very important hurdle to help catalyze this recovery. But at the same time, I also feel that pent-up demand was and is a big driver here in terms of the tourism sector. And the holiday travel season, during which that just passed, during which Orlando had the highest number of passengers throughput of any airport in the country. And so that was before many people had received the vaccine. So that jump in travel was not about the vaccine and its impact on people's willingness to travel. That jump in passengers was just about pent-up demand. People, with a better understanding than they had in March or April about the risks of the virus and who's susceptible and so forth. So that's an encouraging sign. So the vaccine on top of that, I think, will help to bolster the recovery as we move forward. We'll see what the numbers look like for spring break. I suspect the summer travel season is going to look much more like 2019 than 2020. Maybe not quite as good as 2019, but I think we'll continue with a significant recovery, particularly in the leisure domestic side of the industry. I'm sure the other speakers will more knowledgeably about this, but you know, the two elements or components of visitation in the region, international and business, I think those are a little more complex situations, and I think the recovery of those visitors probably is going to be, you know, more protracted than our leisure visitation. With the international travel, you've got all these countries with different rules that they're implementing or re-implementing. So there's, you know, that whole convergence of sovereign decision making. And then on the business side, you know, I think businesses will liability, and I think they'll be a little more cautious about sending people to travel to expos or conventions or conferences. And probably that'll pick up more so in 2022 than in 2021. But you know, nonetheless, the recovery is underway. The damage that was done was you know, unprecedented to the leisure hospitality sector. But you know, as I said at the beginning of my remarks, I think that we are in a place in March of 2021 that most of us in March of 2020 would not have imagined. So I think that we're ahead of schedule and ahead of expectations in terms of the economic recovery. A lot of damage has been done. A lot of this damage has been concentrated in our lower income households throughout the region, which is doubly unfortunate. But I think the economy in terms of GDP in the region will be back to where we were pre-pandemic. I think the unemployment rate, well, you know, not quite as low as it was pre-pandemic, will continue to fall, and I think payrolls will continue to grow as we move through 2021 and beyond. And you know, again, COVID-19 really didn't change any of the fundamental drivers and the trends underlying our region's economy, and so that's a good thing. And I think it's also the reason why the recovery is not as protracted as some were worried that it was going to be 1 year ago today. Well, thank you very much for inviting me down to speak, and I'd be happy to answer any questions or hit my mute button.
All right, Dr. Snaith, stand by. Let me just check and see if we had any of our TDC council members join us virtually. Okay, then we'll go to the chambers here. Any questions for Dr. Snaith? Remember the little button there on your desk. If you want to speak, hit it, and I'll know which order in which to call upon the council members. All right, Dr. Snaith, it sounds like you got off easy today, but thank you for coming and thank you for making the presentation. I do see optimism in what you have presented today. We had a tough year in 2020 with the significant impact on our local economy caused by the pandemic was significant, but this year things are indeed looking up. So thank you for bringing forth some good news to us as well. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. All right, we'll move forward on our agenda at this time, and we're going to go to our convention center. Our Mark Tester, our executive director there, will be coming forward to make a presentation on the center's report. And Mr. Tester, you are recognized, sir, at this time.
Great. Good morning. Good morning, Mayor Demings, Mayor Dyer, Mayor McDonald, and other council members. It's great to be here and to present with I think some light at the end of the tunnel. We look forward to our continued recovery. We definitely believe that we are in recovery and moving forward towards better times. So I'm going to quickly give a quick recap of this last fiscal year, a little bit of what happened in fiscal
Mark,
second quarter of this.
Mark, if
yes,
you're
sir?
in the agenda conference room, Try to pull the microphone closer to you. It sounds like it may be a little bit of a distance from you.
Okay, thank you. I will move back so I can be seen. So I'm going to give a quick recap of last fiscal year. Additional, a little recap on this second quarter of fiscal 2021. We cover a little bit of what has happened at the Orange County Convention Center as related to the rescheduled council's events. And then what we've got coming up this next quarter, and then a little bit about what we've done to manage our budget in this very tough fiscal year. And okay, great. So we've been very blessed, and really where the industry now is all convention centers now have their reopening dates, and we very fortunately with the support from Mayor Demings and our Board of County Commissioners, we really were the first large convention center to come back. Certainly the first center to publish our recovery and resiliency guidelines, all the things that we were doing to react to the pandemic, as well as one of the first convention centers to receive our Global Biorisk Advisory Council. And then our third is our partnership with Orlando Health with our meeting health concierge to help our customers feel comfortable. And so that has really allowed us to start and begin. And as centers reopen, they will now have to be practicing these new protocols. And we were very lucky that we've hosted over 50 events in a modified way during this time, and have gotten all the new modifications down and are ready to really move forward. Just a little update on what is happening in the industry. Las Vegas has announced that they will be reopening in June with the World of Concrete show, a very, very big, large event. And Chicago, another large competitor of ours, will be opening in July with the Chicago Auto Show. We have been able to, as I'll touch on later, we have been able to capture some events that have relocated due to not getting positive affirmation from their destinations, and that's kind of starting to slow a little bit all over California and some other areas that haven't announced reopening. I think we will see some additional events coming our way that will be announced probably in the next few weeks. So a little bit about our fiscal 19 and 20. We began the year really ready for a record year, but obviously beginning in March, that certainly changed very quickly. But we ended up with 79 total events, just about a $1.5 billion economic impact, and 667,000 total attendees, and the majority of that was from October through February. We are hosting events. We have continued to state that we are recovering and that we're moving forward. This fiscal 2 recap, we had 23 total events with 103,000 total attendees with $134 million impact. Many of these events focused around consumer events, local events that will bring people from the Central Florida area, as well as the amateur athletic. That is really the first event market that has come back. Amateur sports, volleyball, cheerleading, basketball, they're back and doing quite well and bringing people, as I'll mention in a moment or two. But that really is the first market that has come back. In this first quarter, we actually hosted absolutely the 2 of the largest and most successful business-to-business trade shows in the country. Surf Expo joined us in January 6th through the 8th, approximately 5,000 total attendees, a tremendous, robust plan and partnership to ensure that event was safely held. Very successful event from them. One of the things that we have found that is absolutely a trend is that people that are coming to events are there for a very specific reason. There is no people that are just looking or casual. They're there to do business. And in the case of Surf Expo, everybody that came to that event was there to buy and to buy products. So their exhibitors were extremely satisfied with what happened. And a lot of the bigger exhibitors didn't attend. And a lot of them, the smaller mom and pop clothing, surfboard, sunglasses providers actually got leads and did business that they may not have gotten. So it was a very successful event for surf. They will be coming back to us in September. It's held out twice a year with us, and they're really excited about September and think they'll be significantly larger when they come back. With our partnership with Visit Orlando, we were able to capture a very successful trio of 3 events. The largest being Magic Pop-Up. They were all in the apparel industry. Magic actually stands for Men's Apparel Guild in California. Obviously, it should have been Men's Apparel Guild in Florida. However, these 3 events came and were very successful. Moved from Las Vegas, much smaller than they normally would be on an annual basis, with 5,980 attendees. Generally, those events would be in the 60,000 range. They were the first trade event to do rapid COVID testing on site. So everyone that came did a rapid COVID testing. They had a significant, robust safety plan that they partnered with us. Everyone wore masks. Every event has done temperature scanning and have done other things, wider aisles, and a number of other things to ensure that their attendees and exhibitors felt safe. And then we had the Sunshine Volleyball Classic. This was over 2 weekends, 32,760 attendees, 16,000 over 1 weekend. As a matter of fact, their first weekend we had 4 concurrent events running in the facility, in addition, not including the vaccination site and the testing site. And we had about 31,000 attendees, going around our campus very safely. And that was certainly the largest weekend any convention center has had. We had the Orlando Boat Show, which had their largest event in years. The boating industry is doing quite well. We had the Sunshine Volleyball Classic, an AAU volleyball event, and a cheerleading event, all in our large campus. And that's one of the things that we bless it, and our customers recognize. We have a very large campus. We have a lot of outdoor areas where people can go and get away from it, and our larger space allows people to spread out. And certainly that is an advantage, and we're definitely feeling as we're coming back quicker and with more optimism than really all of our competitors have. Now we've got a little quick video that was put together by a coalition of meeting and event professionals on what we're doing to see the industry coming back.
In a show of unity, strength, and support for the fashion industry they serve, Clarion Events and the Tarsus Group joined Informa Markets Fashion in February to safely host the first live event in over 10 months, providing a vital lifeline for the thousands of brands and buyers who attended. With safety in mind, the event producer selected the Orange County Convention Center in Orlando, a GBAC-certified venue committed to enhanced cleaning and sanitation standards. Magic Pop-Up Orlando, Win Orlando Showcase, and Off-Price Orlando united in successfully executing dozens of health and safety measures following the internationally recognized All Secure guidelines and making testing mandatory.
If you can take a restaurant and say you can open that restaurant and have people inside at 25% capacity, why can you not translate that same thinking to an event?
The testing process is very simple. You can show up on site being pre-tested as long as it's within an allotted window. Alternatively, you can be tested on site. So we're working with tests that were procured from Abbott Labs. They are rapid antigen tests. They take 15 minutes to process. Part of that is the association with what is called the Navica app. That app works in conjunction with the antigen test. And so when you come in, You have downloaded the app already. It has all your information in there. You go in to get your test. They scan your app and the QR code that's part of that. Then you're able to take your test, and that information is immediately pushed to the Navica app. So after your 15-minute processing time, you will then get an alert on your cell phone that will tell you that you're either positive or negative. So in order to get on the show floor, you have to have a negative test, and that's shown by having a wristband. If you test positive, the medical staff will alert you to that. They will also share with you information on what your next steps can be and put you in touch with Orlando Health. Unfortunately, though, if you test positive, you will not be allowed entrance into the show floor.
At this event here, we are cleaning the move-in, the floors, the booths. Prior to the show open, we will be electrostatic spraying with a chemical called ProCure. Before the show opens, we will be hitting all touch areas with a chemical as well. I am very confident in the fact that this chemical spraying and the wiping down is working.
The first thing that you did was offer testing. I'm a mother of 3, and I would worry about bringing it home to them.
The comments, again, that we've gotten back is that we feel safe. We come into this facility, we see people wearing masks, we see the hand sanitizers and the extra sinks and the decals and window clings that we've got all around our facility promoting physical distancing.
This is a proving ground right here that we can have an event and we can support the local community, but also not put them at any unnecessary health risk.
2020 has been very isolating, and if we realized anything, it's that human connection and being face-to-face with people is so important. And so, although digital will continuously be a part of our world, it should just be an add-on to these live interactions with people, and there's nothing that can replace that.
It's not just the industries and the communities that we serve directly, it's also the local economy, and it's the small businesses in our host cities. And it's the people we bring, and it's the support we provide. It's the boon to the hospitality industry. It's the hotels. It's the restaurants. And these things are just as important to the economic recovery of this country as it is for us to create an area and an environment for our customers to do business.
Need everything to open up. It really hurt when everything was closed, that's for sure.
Boutiques aren't getting buyers. We aren't able to get our manufacturing at the timely speed that we were before. A lot of our manufacturers are overseas, so it's been rough, so we're all glad to be back.
It's better to be here in person because you can feel the quality, try things on, know the fit, see the colors, also get to meet who we are and build that relationship too. So it's not just, you can put a face to the name.
Fashion is a very tactile industry. It's important that they can touch and feel the apparel. So it was very important for us to bring them together at a live event to be able to do their business.
COVID has greatly affected my industry, and it's quite emotional for 10 months to be denied the one thing that really gives you your happiness. And being able to come here and work again and be amongst friends and family and other folks, it's so uplifting, and it gives me hope that I'm going to be able to work again.
The world has a problem, and the live events industry are the ones that are going to be able to solve it. We want events to come back. And we are logistical geniuses. Our day-to-day routine is planning and execution. Allow us to come to the table to help solve this problem and get business back to normal.
Thank you to Informa Markets Fashion, Clarion Events, and the Tarsus Group for taking the lead to show the world that we can return to face-to-face events safely, and for providing this valuable service for the businesses that rely on these events for their livelihood.
And promoted all around our industry, and the tremendous amount of publicity came through the Go Live Coalition. We had a number of customers that were on site looking at their protocols, ready to get their events back, and a very successful event. And as they kind of mentioned, people were there, they were there to buy, and that's ultimately those types of events. The main purpose is to sell product, and very successful. And I'm going to continue on. And I'm hopeful that maybe this is perhaps the last time I get to share this slide, as we're certainly seeing events stop canceling with the vaccinations coming online, with events facing the reality that in really March on, they would be canceling their event for the second time. Events have really focused in on coming back and having events, and certainly the events that we have on our calendar are really looking to occur. The event cancellations and rescheduling really has come to almost a halt, but as you see, the numbers is certainly significant. Our goal all along, as I've mentioned before, was to have the relationship with Orange County and Orlando maintained and strengthened, so we were able to reschedule 53 of events that went virtual. Many of them went virtual, and see the significant amount of economic impact that represented, and then 73 events with a whopping $1.85 billion estimated economic impact canceled entirely. And then really what we've got coming on, we are, I think, stair-stepping back up with the amount of events that we have. April and May, you'll see we've got the Aviation Week. We've got a number of sporting events, amateur events coming in, and the AAU USA is one that we're highlighting here. And then really in June, we get significantly busier. And July is where I'm really, indicating and targeting that we're going to be back with a full calendar. And July, August, and through the rest of this calendar year, we are very busy, and events aren't canceling. If they are, or they're releasing space, we've been able to capture additional events, which I'll focus in on here in a second. And so in June, we have VMX, the Veterinary Medical Exposition. That event generally annually meets with us in January, and they've moved to June. They came to us and said, we can host the event in January. We're committed to having our face-to-face event. They will be doing a hybrid portion as well, to which every attendee, if you're not feeling comfortable, you can step outside, get on your device, and watch that session that you were just in the room with at no additional charge. So they're indicated they'll move to June, and they're looking to have significantly more. 16,000 attendees is what they had this last year. We don't see that as what they'll come in at. The numbers are continuing to come in strong, and they look forward to a great event in June. And as mentioned, we've been very fortunate to be back open and have all our protocols and prove that if you come in and wear masks and you follow and work with us to partner, that you can have a successful event even in these tougher times. And we have received a number of events that have relocated their 2021 event to Orange County Convention Center in partnership with Visit Orlando. A couple of them very significant events. Vision Expo East with about 9,000 attendees is coming to us from June. In June, that is relocating from New York City in the Javits Convention Center. American Association of Neurological Surgeons, a medical event, is coming to us in October. And the American College of Chest Physicians is coming to us in October. Both neurological surgeons and chest physicians are relocating to us from Vancouver, where they felt hosting an event in 2021 internationally wasn't going to be something that they wanted to continue to pursue. And so they actually canceled their event and then rescheduled in future years, much like many of our events. So we're showing 13 events on this page here. We are talking with a couple other events, mostly fourth quarter of this year, that we're still looking on and feel like that number will grow. And that's very exciting. And that really gets us in a good position to have a very solid summer and a great fall. And because of the significant effect of our budget effect on our business, we've had to pivot and look to do things a little bit differently. And so we have very much in support with our other counties. We've been very blessed to have really great support. A number of our employees went and began working months ago on the CARES Act funding. And in addition, we've temporarily transferred And all told, about 190 or 55% of our employees are working elsewhere in the county, and we're very blessed. The only convention center that I'm aware of in the country that's been able to do that. And so our full-time staff has been maintained. We can bring them back when we need them, and they're all continuing to work. And we got tremendous support from our employees to get out of their comfort zones, go do different things. And certainly, I think we all feel blessed to be in Orange County and been able to maintain, our full-time staff. So here's a little video that discusses what we've done to pivot during this time.
From high above International Drive, the Orange County Convention Center casts an impressive shadow. One of the biggest and busiest convention centers in the country, it is the economic engine at the heart of the iDrive community. 2020, set to be its most profitable year in history, enter an historic pandemic.
For the most part, the Convention Center covers its expenditures with the revenues that we make here from services. And so we had to pivot pretty quickly to figure out, hey, what are we going to do now that revenue is not coming in?
On any given day, you'd find thousands gathered here to conduct meetings and events. Now, the halls are mostly quiet.
Quite frankly, our industry, certainly the tourism and convention and hospitality industry, has been devastated. There's numbers of my friends all across the country in my industry that have lost their job.
This multifaceted crisis prompted managers to get creative, to save money and jobs. They have reduced utility usage, cut maintenance and cleaning contracts, and they're holding off on event-driven purchases, actions to result in a $17 million reduction in operating expenses. Then to the convention center's largest resource, their people.
The foundation, really, of our business, and one of the most important things that sets us apart from other venues in the country, is our customer service and our level of dedication from all of our employees.
When people come here and they have their events, we always get great comments about the service that our people provide, that they don't get that type of service when they go other places. And so, our goal this whole time has been to preserve that experience, preserve those people who make the convention center what it is, preserve those jobs.
Thanks to Orange County leaders and their spirit of collaboration, nearly 200 employees have now been temporarily reassigned to other positions in Orange County.
It's really such a blessing to have an opportunity to be able to share the time and talents of our people with our fellow coworkers, whether that is downtown, across town, or right down the street.
Hannah Starner is an event manager at the Convention Center. For now, she's lending her talents at Orange County's neighborhood services. She's used to adapting to changes and creating solutions for events. So for her, this is just a new challenge.
You always want to learn and better yourself too. So gaining experience in a different division, I hope will benefit me as an event manager, and even further in my career, I'll have a wider skill set that'll give me a leg up.
It's that positive attitude shared by many others who say they feel valued by managers and county leaders.
That gives you a level of confidence, knowing that, you are not an employee that they want to do away with. They just want to keep you, and they're working as hard as they can to put you somewhere in the meantime until the convention center get back on its feet and things get better.
And the great thing is now we're seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, where it was, let's sit and wait. Events are now coming back. They are being successful. They are having safe events.
The Orange County Convention Center is one of only a few in the country that has been able to remain open. And in many cases, that means new customers are seeking them out to host their events, from continuing education to beauty pageants to even bodybuilding competitions. Managers believe in a few months, more and more events will be back. And while over half of their full-time employees' salaries are off the books for now, when business picks back up, those reassigned will be pulled right back in.
I would even say it creates stronger bonds too with the employees here at the center. You know, going through this is something that we haven't really gone through before. And it's knowing that you can stick together and have people to rely on and have those relationships with your fellow colleagues that is really beneficial.
It's called the Center of Hospitality for a reason. And although most people on property now are here for vaccines and testing, the Orange County Convention Center is hopeful they'll get back to what they do best very soon.
I think we'll be back sooner rather than later. And so we really are targeting the June, July for events to come back in earnest. And while they may not be as big as they were last year, they'll be back.
I've been here for 20 years. So we've known people who've worked here for 20 years, some more, some less. And each and every one of those people is truly important to us. And those are the same people that are going to come back and produce all of our fabulous events and make these events, knock it out of the park, because that's what we do.
For Orange TV, I'm Crystal Candy.
We absolutely appreciate our employees, all that they mean, and just feel blessed to be in Orange County and providing tremendous resources to our guests. One of the things I think that we've shown this year in this pandemic is how a big events facility like the convention center can service residents in time of need. And we've been very proud of our work in supporting the Orange County and Florida Department of Health with the testing site, which has been in our destination parking lot for months and months and months, and now the very successful vaccination site in our north building docks. And we are really proud of our role in getting things back, and so appreciative of the support from Mayor Demings and our Board of County Commissioners, and certainly the Tourist Development Council as we continue to move forward. So thank you very much, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you, Mark. Great presentation. You know, when you hear the numbers and the fact that there was nearly a $2 billion negative impact on our local economy as a result of the 126 shows or so that were impacted in some way. We were fortunate to get some rescheduled, some were outright canceled. But given everything that you presented, things are looking up, and I want to say thank you to our staff who have proven to be very nimble with the reassignments and the things that you did to help reduce the operating costs, help to stabilize, I believe, our overall tourist development tax receipts. So thank you for what you've done. I'm going to open it up for any questions by members of the board at this point. Any questions? Okay, Mark, it sounds like you got off easy this morning as well. So we will move forward on our agenda at this time, and we will have our visit. No, that's not next. The next is our Orange County Controller. Will come forward and do the Controller's report. Ms. Robin Gallia will come forward and to make that presentation. I think she's in 105 as well, or the agenda development.
I'm here.
Okay.
Thank you. Good morning, Mayor Demings, Mayor Dyer, Mayor McDonald, and members of the council. On behalf of Comptroller Diamond, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to make a brief presentation on the financial statements of the Convention Center for the month of January and the current status of tourist development tax revenues. First, the Center's financial statements for January, 4 months into the current fiscal year. For the cash and investment accounts found on page 2 of the January financial statements, the renewal and replacement reserve account stood at about $114.5 million, and this consisted of both restricted and unrestricted funds. In the debt service accounts, the bond reserve equaled about $80 million, and this amount represents the maximum annual payment on outstanding bonds and is the amount that is required to be maintained for the county's PBC bond covenant. Combination of these two reserve accounts produces total reserves of $194.5 million at January 31st, and this total is $51.1 million less than the combined total at our last meeting in December. The ongoing reserves target for the county to maintain and is therefore restricted is $141.6 million, consisting of the $80 million debt service reserve and $61.6 million, which represents 4% of the value of the building and equipment, and that is set aside for property replacement. So the actual month-end unrestricted reserve balance for January is $52.9 million above the minimum. Turning to the operations of the convention center on page 3, we can see that after 4 months of the fiscal year, operating revenues stand at $2.4 million. This is $29.9 million, or a 92.6% decrease from last year. Operating expenses totaled $19 million through January, which represents a decrease of 30.6%, or about $8.4 million compared to fiscal year 2020. At this point in the fiscal year, operating expenses have exceeded operating revenue by $16.6 million. This graph shows the cumulative amount of operating subsidy needed for fiscal years 2019, 20, and 21, and it shows that as of January 31st, which is indicated by the green line, a subsidy is needed for this fiscal year to date as a result of the lingering effects of the coronavirus pandemic. Turning to the TDT revenues, the press release issued from our office on March 8th indicates that receipts for the hotel collection month of January totaled about $7.7 million. And then these receipts were 38.6% below the current budget expectation by $4.8 million, and they were also about 70% below the prior year's actual monthly receipts at $18.4 million. On a cumulative basis, for the 4 months of the fiscal year, total TDT revenues stand at around $34.9 million, and this amount was nearly $15.1 million, or 30.2% below budgeted expectations, and $67.6 million, or 66% below 4 months' revenue in the prior fiscal year. The monthly collections of tourist development taxes for fiscal year 21 are displayed on this table, and for the year-to-date, monthly collections were lower than both the prior fiscal year collections and budget in every month. And this graph shows us the month-by-month information as a line graph. The current year actual revenue is represented by the blue line, while the red line indicates the budget and the green represents prior year actual. This concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to respond to any questions you may have.
All right, are there any questions? Okay, Ms. Regalia, you got off easy also this morning. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move to our update from Visit Orlando. And I will welcome our brand new President and CEO, Ms. Cassandra Matej. I want to give her really a warm welcome. She has brought new energy to our Visit Orlando. We look forward to working with her over the coming years. And so you're recognized.
Good morning, everyone. Mayor Demings, Mayor Dyer, and Mayor McDonald. I haven't had a chance to personally meet each of you, but I do hope and have the opportunity to do so. But it really is my honor to make my first official presentation to the council, and thank you for what you do for our great community. Looking at today, I'd like to just do a quick introduction of my background, give you some additional industry insights, and talk about some of the initiatives that Visit Orlando has been doing in the assistance for recovery, and then also highlight some information regarding meetings and conventions. A little bit about me. I'm very excited to be relocating here. I've had 28 years of experience in the travel and tourism industry, mostly with industry organizations such as DMOs. I've worked for hotel companies, global hotel companies, international destinations. as well as at one point I served as a meeting planner for a third party, and some of the industry folks on the council may remember Confron, which is now Experience. One of the things I like to do is be very involved in the industry and the communities that I serve. And so currently I serve on the board of directors for the U.S. Travel Association. And then locally, I am now on the board of CFHLA, which Robert's in the audience and been great to work with thus far. And then also going to be working with OEP. But I have formally served on national boards as well as statewide boards, and I look forward to getting very engaged in our local community. Kind of taking a glimpse at my priorities for Visit Orlando. Of course, I'm in a transition phase, so certainly discovery of the destination and understanding our stakeholders and all of our needs. The culture of our organization, it is my goal that Visit Orlando becomes a top workplace in the Orlando community. And of course, we've been talking about it all morning. Recovery, recovery, recovery. And building some strong relationships with you, other key stakeholders, and our community stakeholders. And then, of course, diversity, equity, and inclusion in all things that we do at Visit Orlando, both internally and externally, of how we present the destination to the world. Specifically on my discovery phase, everything, from meals to magic. This is a great opportunity that's going to take me days, weeks, months to really uncover this fantastic destination. When I think we have over 125,000 hotel rooms, that's a lot of hotel rooms to fill every single night. But right now, I'm staying at a variety of hotels just to get that firsthand experience of the diversity of the product that we offer. Of course, major brands, independent properties, and everything in between. And also uncovering the wonderful culinary arts of this great destination, and of course the reason why we are America's #1 destination in the U.S. Again, it's no surprise that at Visit Orlando, as well as our entire community, in fact, the entire world, recovery is everyone's #1 priority. And I think part of Visit Orlando's role is not only have we been talking about the safety and health protocols in our community, but also to assist in building consumer confidence that it is safe to travel, and particularly safe to travel to Orlando. We need to stay ahead of our competition. Mark alluded to that there's a lot of groups relocating here, and I will tell you, I think we are probably at least a year ahead of our competition because of when the state opened, the county opened, and the facilities and our attractions were ready for visitors. So I'm very excited what the future does outlook. And then, of course, we use data to drive our decisions, and it helps us be nimble of where we're placing marketing and media. And then one of the things that we're talking about internally is to develop programs. You all know that we have magical dining, but are there other programs that we can assist small business, large business to recover during this time? And then obviously work to eliminate obstacles for our industry and work with our team to make sure that they have the right tools in place. And again, leverage partnerships. So speaking of, let's see. Thank you. Partnerships. It's one of my philosophies is that we're better together, and partnerships are going to be the key to that faster recovery. And so right now we're assessing, I'm learning, evaluating what organizations and entities do we have partnerships with, who do we need to look into to have better reach for Central Florida. And so some of these are some of the organizations and agencies that we're going to look to see about having a partnership for a stronger ROI for our community. Now turning our attention to industry insights Thank you. You've heard from the economist earlier, but we look at some key indicators, and you can see that from this graph, there's really four indicators that we're looking at. We're looking at demand, we're looking at taxes, we're looking at the traffic, both domestically and international at the Orlando International Airport, and you can see that there is a reason to say that we are on the road to recovery, because in the majority of the key indicators, we are starting to see an increase in all areas. You can see at the TDT that, yes, it went down in January, but we believe it was because we had a strong holiday travel in December, as well as kids were going back to school in January, as well as normally in a pre-pandemic time, our convention calendar would have been very full. But we anticipate from some early numbers that we're seeing in March that graph is going to show improvement and growth. Three reasons why we are very cautiously optimistic is, one, that people have savings. And in fact, over the year and through the pandemic, people have been saving at a higher rate than normal. So why is that great for the travel industry? Is people have money to spend, and they want to spend it on experiences. There's a lot of pent-up demand, and so I think that this is going to bode well for our community. Additionally, we're starting to see with all the studies that a lot of our partners are doing that there's an improvement on travel sentiment. Recently, we saw that 84% of travelers are estimating at least one trip in the next 6 months. And again, we want to make sure that Central Florida is top of mind for those travelers. And then, as we've discussed and Mark discussed, that the outlook for group business, especially for second half, third quarter, and 22 and beyond, there is reason for us to be optimistic. When you look at this baseline, obviously the big question, and I don't have a crystal ball, I don't know that economists have a crystal ball, but the reality is that we all feel very optimistic that by 2023 that we should be back to pre-pandemic numbers, and then you can see 2024. We all know it's starting with that leisure travel, going to be followed up by business and group travel, and then the final market to recover will be international, but it'll be key that we are ready to engage with those inbound international travelers when the time is right. So taking a more detailed dive in some of the efforts that Visit Orlando has been doing, looking at, obviously, first and foremost is our PR efforts. You know, part of our role is to make sure that as those travelers feel more confident about getting back on the road, getting on a flight, that Orlando is top of mind. So we have been working with national media, regional media, even local media to tell our story that Orlando is safe and we're open for business. And we've gotten great coverage. Another strategy that we do is we work with influencers and bring them into our marketplace. Thus far, we're working with 38 influencers that have had in-market visits, and they're either using social media, their blogs, to talk about their safe experience in Orlando. And you can see that we've seen some great results because we've seen 13.2 million in impressions. And of course, we're hitting, as I mentioned, those national outlets. You can see that from anywhere from Newsweek to USA Today. And all in all, our media stories have hit for the year 370 stories. So we're very proud of that because that just furthers the visibility of our region. And when people are ready, whether it's now or in the near future, that they will know that Orlando is safe and open for business. The other thing that we just launched, and we are very excited to announce, as January 1st, we launched our newest campaign, The Wonder Remains. And it really is an inspirational campaign that invites people to either travel now, start planning their travel, and we really educate them on what not only our protocols and guidelines are, but what the hotels are doing, the attractions are doing, and so it's very informative. And of course, we drive them to visit Orlando.com. And so this campaign is the first time that we are messaging Orlando outside of the Florida borders, and we're getting great results. We're focused on the Southeast market, Texas over, and as I mentioned, we are seeing great results. And at the next TDC meeting, I'll be able to share what those results are. Here's just a highlight of where we're looking and some of the strategies. You can see we're doing full marketing with digital, with print, with social, all in the Southeast. And then you look for the search and paid social in the blue. And then we're really utilizing our PR efforts and our organic social for the rest of the country. So we are talking to the rest of the country, but we are really honed in on the Southeast. And of course, I want to show you a quick video that'll give you a glimpse of The Wonder Remains commercial, as well as show you some of our PR efforts. If you could roll the video.
Unveiled a $2.2 million marketing campaign called The Wonder Remains.
Yeah. Tourism officials in Orlando are hoping to bring in tourists from across the state and from neighboring states. This is all part of a new full-scale marketing campaign, which is the first since the pandemic began.
We're very excited to launch this new campaign, inviting not only Floridians, but people outside of Florida for the first time since the pandemic hit last year.
As the top tourist destination in the U.S., tourism provides 41% of our workforce and has a $75 billion economic impact.
Tourists are key to Orange County's economy, and Visit Orlando has a new plan to lure them back in.
$75 billion economic impact industry for this community, and that's why it is just absolutely vital that our industry returns in a better and stronger way.
Our foundational theme parks and everything are part of the campaign, but the campaign is also highlighting some of the unexpected places to explore, such as downtown and our natural outdoor parks and activities.
New CEO Cassandra Mate speaking to us for the first time in her new role today.
My priority, it's all about recovery, recovery, recovery.
And so this campaign started January 1st and will continue through the summer. As I mentioned, we're starting to see some results, and I'm happy to report, and you can see from the slide that we're seeing occupancy rates grow. These are the key areas that we are focused on, the 5 markets, Florida, Georgia, Texas, California, and New York. But I am so excited to report that as of last week, the Orlando metro area, we saw occupancy rates all the way up to 66%. So I do think that these are early signs that there is, real interest for people to travel. So we're excited about these early on results. The other thing that we held last night, which I think is very innovative, and I've got to just give great congratulations to the Visit Orlando team, is we held, and this is the first time to our knowledge that a destination organization around the country has held a true virtual trade show or consumer show, and we hosted over 11,000 homes that tuned in last night from 6 to 8 to learn about our destination. We obviously had great partners that you can see on the slide. We gave away trips to Orlando. We educated them, again, on the safety protocols, what their responsibility is once they're here, and then we educated them about the new things and the new offerings of Orlando. So it was a great success, and because of that success, we are going to look at doing that again and again, just so we can get the message out about Orlando to as many people that are ready to travel. Going into the meetings and conventions, Mark highlighted a lot of these, so I won't go into each of them, but the reality is this is just another example that we are on the road to recovery and that we are ahead of our competition. Many of these are relocating from areas that are still closed. And so there's an opportunity for some of these groups that have never met in Orlando showcase our great customer service and hospitality so they will come back again and again, and hopefully either on an annual basis or on a rotational basis get these groups in Orlando. Kind of looking at the convention center attendance, Mark again touched on this, but just want to reiterate that we are seeing Q3 and Q4 that you're starting to see the attendance grow. Looking back, the average of the attendance of what a group would have thought that they would get for their attendance versus what actualized is about a 20 to 25% wash, but we've also had groups that have exceeded their attendance versus pre-pandemic times. So again, I think that this is a strong indicator that we are on that road to recovery and that in-person meetings are going to be essential for the growth of not only our economy, but the U.S. economy. I also wanted to highlight some upcoming events that we will be hosting, and hopefully you can participate with us. The State of Recovery webinar on April 6th. We also will be celebrating Global Meetings Industry Day on April 8th, along with many of our industry associations around the country. May 2nd through the 8th marks National Travel and Tourism Week, and this is, a year later, really will be a time to celebrate that we are on the beginning of the recovery. And then May 4th, we definitely hope to see you there in person. We will have our annual travel and tourism event at the Orange County Convention Center. And then it's time for Visit Orlando, and I'm looking forward to getting back on the road. You can see that we are going to be very active. We serve as your sales and marketing organization for not only the leisure business, but also the convention center and all the hotels. And so it is imperative that we get back on the road, and we're looking forward to it. As you can tell, our calendar is going to be very full. With that, I'm happy to take any questions. I'm honored to be here, excited to be in this role and represent such an amazing community and destination that is not, when I think about our industry in Orlando, it is, of course, very important to our community, but the whole world is watching us right now. And so delighted to be part of a destination that we are going to be the leader for the rest of the country. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Great presentation. We love the energy there. So any questions by members of the council? Well, guess what? You got off easy this morning as well.
Yeah, we'll say welcome.
Welcome to town. All right. Looking forward to the coming months as we continue to climb out of the recession that we were in. All right. Is there any other business that we did not take up this morning? Okay, I hear none. The next meeting is scheduled for the second quarter, June the 25th. That's a Friday at 9 a.m. right here at the Board of County Commission chambers. And if there's no other business, then we stand adjourned.